This is Man of Science.
Man of Science presents Timeline. Hello there, campers. This is part 2 of a 3-part series entitled Flying Cars. My response to Peen. Peen asked, do you think we'll develop anti-gravity technology? Will we have flying cars? And will we still need to wear seat belts? Excellent questions, Peen. Well, about the seat belts part, the laws of physics don't change even if we have anti-gravity. We're not going to have inertial confinement devices or restraints. We're going to require something to keep us from smashing in to the car in case of a sudden deceleration. Seat belts, airbags, or some other devices will be necessary unless you are a libertarian. Libertarians believe that people are either far more intelligent than they actually are, or are strong proponents of natural selection. Let's take a look now at our timeline. And you will see it right now through the process called magic. There it is, the timeline. Where's my flying car? Now, looking right over here at 1903, we see that Al marries Meva. Al? Who's this Al? Well, let's take a look. Hey, I know that guy. That's Albert Einstein. And he married his first wife, Meva, in 1903. And then in 1917, he came up with something called the Cosmological Constant. Can we see that now? Thank you. There it is, the Cosmological Constant. Now, what did this do? This balanced the forces of nature, the forces of attraction and the forces of repulsion. Ooh! Now, the whole idea here is that Al thought that the universe was going to be in a steady state, neither expanding or contracting. So what he did was he set the cosmological constant equal to a value where the universe would be static. Ooh, that's kind of like a divine concept. Eternal universe. So that's how he did it. But what happened was, in a short time, another guy came along and his name was Hubble in 1929. And what he found was that the stars were kind of reddish. And he thought, I wonder why this is. And what he did was he figured out that the universe was expanding. So Al was wrong. And what happened is that good old Al said that this, the cosmological constant, was perhaps his biggest blunder ever. However, when you talk to close friends, they say that Al revealed that his biggest blunder ever was, in fact, in 1903. Now, all of this excitement about the universe and the forces of attraction or repulsion are going to lead to the notion of flying cars, because if we can understand these forces, then perhaps we can have flying cars, which may be the purpose and reason behind the universe. Everything. Maybe the answer isn't 42. Now, let's take a look at the 60s, because in the 60s we had a lot of stuff happening. Let's look right over here in 1962. In 1962, there was a guy that looked something like this. Hey, there he is, a president of the United States of America. See the flag? There it is. JFK. This is at Rice Stadium, and he gave an important speech. Now, here's the deal behind this speech. The Soviet Union had set up an artificial satellite called Sputnik in 1957, and it went around the Earth going beep, 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 except it freaked out the U.S. because then they launched a dog into space named Laika, and then a guy named Yuri Gagarin, and we were trying to catch up with them. And what happened was all of our rockets blew up on the launching pad or a short distance from the launching pad. So JFK went ahead and gave a very cool speech, and you're going to hear it right now. JFK, take it away.
And no nation which expects to be the leader of other nations can expect to stay behind in this race for space.
That's forceful stuff. Now, what else was happening at the same time? Well, let's take a look at our timeline. There it is. Along with JFK, there was also a cartoon show, and that was called the Jetsons. Let's take a look. There's the Jetsons. There's George. His daughter Junie, Jane his wife, Professor Anne Marianne, oh blah 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 blah. Well, they had a flying car. You want to see it again? Okay, let's take a look. A flying car. All right. And when was this? Why, this was in 1962. Same time as JFK's cool speech. So, we were expecting big things. We were going to go to the moon before the end of this decade and do those other things. What were those other things? They were flying cars. Yes, sir. Now, let's take a look at what comes next in our timeline. Hey, it's Star Trek in 1967. Now, the big thing here was we wanted to build a flying car. And so, Melvin Schmidlap was the first person to attempt to make a flying car. This was an amazing effort. And you're about to see this amazing effort right now. Look, we got a nice blue screen. There it is. We're ready. It's going to pop up right now. Bingo! Now, you might look at this and go, what the hell is that? This, of course, is the Shuttlecraft. And Melvin Schmidlap made this Shuttlecraft. There it is. Out of sheet metal. He was a sheet metal worker. And it turns out that Mrs. Schmidlap, after seeing it, ended up causing Mr. Schmidlap, that is Melvin, that's right, to spend most of his time sleeping in his lovely car. And he used the family car, and so, of course, this was a bit of a marital tiff here. Now, let's see what else is going on in our exciting timeline of the flying cars. Well, in 1968, expectations were high. And besides having a cartoon version, now there was going to be a movie version. Yes? Chitty, chitty, bang, bang, chitty, chitty, bang, bang, we love you. Let's take a look at Chitty, chitty, bang, bang with Dick Van Dyke.
What an unusual car. Daddy made it. Chitty, chitty, bang, bang, chitty, chitty, bang, bang, we love you. Bang, oh, chitty, chitty, bang, bang, chitty, chitty, bang, bang, what's this do?
Oh, okay. So, Chitty, chitty, bang, bang. 1968, and then of course in 1969 we had something immensely cool, and that is the moon landing. And everybody thought, we got people landing on the moon. Flying cars cannot be far behind. Unfortunately,
Guck! Oh mein Gott! Ach du lieber Himmel! Ich muss meine Mutti anrufen. Was ist denn das?
Hast du es gesehen?
Was für der Turbo? Ich weiß nicht, was das war.
If you miss part 3, you may never forgive yourself.